Alright, welcome to my backyard. Small portion of it. This is the Bark River, Bravo 1. Here's the use of my lanyard. And it gives me the ability to let the knife go at the same time. It's not going to get me. It's not going to poke me, cut me, if it happens to fly loose when I'm batoning. Did some batoning, but so far, smaller pieces of wood handles very nicely. Gives you access to the insides of these nice sized branches that I found. Now, it's been raining. If you're not splitting wood, you ain't going to have a fire. It does pretty good. As thick as this blade is, it does, because of the convex grind, it really does get a lot of control of the knife. And you can really get some nice kindling going for your fire. Oops. My bad. Let's turn that bad boy over. Does a really nice job. Now, here's another small piece. Probably this ain't a camp knife. This is a survival knife. Camp knife would be more like the Bravo 2, for instance. And that would have the ability to split larger logs, which this one, due to the fact that it's shorter length, does not have the ability to do. Or it makes it extremely difficult to do. This blade is only 4¼ inches long. You do have the ability to do detailed work. I mean, I can clean up the underside of my fingernails if I need to with this knife. But if I'm looking at a log this size, it's kind of difficult. You could whittle away at it and possibly slowly break into this log. But due to its size, you can see that you just don't have the blade length that you would need in camp that the Bravo 2 would allow you. Now, if I was in camp, I'd probably have myself a hatchet or a saw or whatnot. If I had a saw, I could saw through the center of this and then break up my kindling as I see fit. But I can still, in an emergency situation, as difficult as it is, and it tears up your baton big time, you can get in here. But it's very, very time consuming. It's something I really want to do, especially when I'm cold and I need myself a fire. But the knife is very, very strong. So, but the idea of making a fire, though, is not splitting gigantic logs. Once I get these logs going, or the fire going, logs of that size, I can get it going with some smaller kindling. And depending where you're at, whether you're picking squaw wood, which is off the top of the bottom portions of the pine trees, or if you're picking smaller branches off the ground here, that's the idea of getting fire going. It splits very nicely there. Very nicely. That's what's wet as hell. Everything's wet. That's good for my old fire. Here's a good 3½ inch log. And you have the ability to split this thing up real nice. Another thing I did, and this is slightly wet. Making shelter, batoning through wood, this knife really handles well. These are clean cuts. You don't see that very often, especially with your normal survival blades, with your dual bevels. This thing just slices right through it. I can demonstrate that right quick. Place that on there. And this wood's green. And it just slices right through it. That's pretty nice. I'm pretty impressed with that. The thumb ramp, I like it so far. Like I said, I usually wear gloves. Even if I'm not wearing gloves, it gives me that grippiness. Even if I'm choking up on my knife, I can see how that could bother me. But for notching and for other use, it feels really nice, actually. But this bad boy, he's tough. I don't foresee myself really hurting it. And, you can notch it yourself. Now, if you wanted to, you could break open these logs by coming out through the side and doing it that way. Also. Now, what that will do is that'll give you the ability to get your knife the span that you need so you still have something sticking out. And also breaking into the side. But, like I said, you need a larger knife to do most of that work. That's about it. Great knife. I'm loving it. And look, it's not broken. Can't believe it. I guess that's what a survival knife should be able to do, right? I am by no means going easy on this knife. I got my fire prep all good. But I just wanted to see if this thing can handle it. I got it going down the center of this log, hammering away at it. And if anything, the butt of this knife is destroying my baton. No scratches at all. It's just amazing. It's a fantastic blade so far. This fire striker is starting to bother me, so that might have to go. But I will actually test it when I light my fire, and we'll see if it actually works. If it doesn't, we'll just light my fire still like I always do. So I'm gonna pry this thing out of here, and we'll start the fire. All right, we're back. Let's start the fire for y'all. It's been raining, so you want to get your fire off the ground, basically. And this is basically a bowl of mud. It's been raining for 3 days straight. So basically what I do is I take a log, notch it. All right, I'm gonna build my fire in this little area right here. My favorite thing to use is cotton balls. And they serve a dual purpose when you're out in the wilds, or if you ever have an emergency situation. Vaseline is good stuff. It's good for your lips, they happen to be chapped. Good for any other areas that happen to be chapped, walking in wilds. So basically I'll just take this one cotton ball and spread it out a little bit. Like so. So I place it on my little square. And this is my fire steel. This one's pretty nice. It's got a little striker area on it. I'm not going to use that this time. I'm going to try my Bark River one and see how that works. Not knowing how it's going to react, I am going to wear gloves for this evolution. And see how it works. I also prepped some fire sticks. And really easy. Fuzz sticks, I mean. And I don't make them look pretty because I like to attach them to some big pieces of wood. 1 or 2 notches is really all you need. It's the sharp little edges here that catch on fire. And it's almost like a fuse catching your wood on fire. So I'll get a few of these started, and I'll keep the shavings that are left over, and this will start fire no problem, real quick first time. Now remind you, all this wood was found on the ground. It's all dead, and it was soaking wet. It's been rained on for 3 days. And the idea in a survival situation or in a snow situation is getting your fire off the ground and splitting some wood and accessing that dry wood. And I never tried this before. It was on that thumb ramp. I don't know how they expect me to use that. Ooh, okay. Let's see how that works. Okay, that works a little bit better than I thought. Let's go closer to fire. Well, this thing is a little bit more uncontrollable than I'm used to. It really removes a lot. I don't know if I really like that. I'm just gonna stick to my normal deal. That's a really sharp backside. Basically, you take this, it goes right along the edge. Bam, fire started. And you place your wood on top of that. And while we're getting that ready, let's see. I don't know how they expect us to use that. That's kind of weird. My fire steel is self-enclosed. I mean, I guess I could do that. I just feel I have more control over this. Or maybe I'm just used to using it. It just directs it in a downward position, really convenient. It also locks it up nice. Little tube. Seems to work well. Yeah, so you want to get your fire going. Got myself a little fuzz stick here. Like so. Now your bark is going to retain a lot of that moisture that you don't want. So a lot of times, when you are starting fire, you want to get that bark off. Because it's basically a sponge for water. Comes right off nicely. And that would give your fire some problems. I don't really find myself that I need to choke up on this if I go back. Because the blade is actually at the very end, there's no gap. I find that I can just choke up on the handle itself and create the fuzz sticks very easily. And I'm pretty impressed. Right now I'm going to try getting a big piece off like that. Throw a big piece on there. The whole fire stuff in there. And everything is soaked. I can feel the moisture on these. Just like messing with them right now. And here's your fuzz sticks. Now if this is wet, you can feel it. But it should still catch even though it's somewhat wet. And if you're always worried about, watch this. I want to hurry this up for the camera. You can always just throw another cotton ball right on in there. Like so. Just that underneath there. And cotton balls work really well. They really do. Oop, that has, see, that's the bark. And that bark will literally put out your fire. It is covered with moisture like that. See that one's soaking wet on the outside. And the sharp edges, I'm going to face those towards your fire. Here's some nice dry wood right there. And see, that's really wet, so we'll skip on that until the fire gets going. Better. And there you go. Just some cotton balls. And these are my favorite ways to start fires. And I forget where I got this fire still. It's fantastic though. I like it. It really directs the sparks in a downward position. It doesn't use too much either. Sometimes with a knife, I just peeled off like a good chunk of it, and that's just a waste. There's no reason for that. And all I want is 1 or 2 sparks. But that's all she wrote. That's how you get your fire going. Should kick up here in a notch or 2. So my general impressions after all the tests and whatnot. I'm not going to show you, but basically it is hair popping sharp after all the abuse I threw at it. Still slices paper. There's no nicks on the blade at all. Got my little magnifying glass here. It is beautiful. The knife held up to all the abuse that I gave to it. Scratching that you see is from the Kydex sheath taking in and out of it. I found that the Kydex sheath is pretty much garbage. I am getting a custom made sheath made for $50, and when that comes I will give you a nice review of that and see how it fits. I'm more of a traditionalist. I do prefer the leather sheaths. Leather sheaths tend to knock off burrs from your knife, keeping them sharper, rather than a Kydex sheath, which tends to scratch and make a lot of noise and is pretty clackly, especially in the forest. I don't need to be making more noise than I already do. That's about it. Highly recommend this knife. Beauty.